All right. Good morning, brothers and sisters. Yes, it's Saturday morning. The Lord woke me up this morning and told me to jump out of Philippians and jump into Matthew 7. And I will be going through Matthew 7 possibly on the weekends or after I do my Philippians tours. There's much to say in chapter 7. And the portion that really ministers to me this morning is heavy because today is 14 days sober, 14 days spirit filled, 14 days strong. And I'm woke. I'm wide awake. I'm ready to roll. I am, everything's coming back, man. I had beer brain for a while. 40 months of stupor. And now I'm so angry at the things I've allowed to happen. But I thank God again for the officer that arrested me. He saved my life. Thank you, sir. And to my company, the job, who saved my job. Thank you, gentlemen. And for the church that's helped me out. Thank you, church. And for those who love me through. My brothers, you know who you are. Those who love me through it. And thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And this morning we are in Matthew 7, verses 1 through 5. Judge not that you be not judged. For with what judgment you judge, you will be judged. And with measure you use, and with the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. And why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but do not consider the plank in your own eye? Or how can you say to your brother, let me remove the speck from your eye? And look, a plank is in your own eye. Hypocrite. Hypocrite, Jesus said. First remove the plank from your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. And every day as I'm sober more and more, I'm more and more aware, more and more alert, and I'm starting to, as I go back to hang out with certain people I used to hang out with, I'm starting to realize how much we did not have in common. Nothing against them. They're still good people. Yeah. As I look now and listen, now I'm actually listening to what their conversations are, and I look at them and I'm like, whoa, I spoke worse than that in my drink, and I'm like, what do I do with the situation? Well, first of all, I'm not to judge them. They didn't judge me. I'm not to judge them. Only God can judge. What about justice? God's job. Why do we have cops? To stop wickedness. There's a difference. To recover the dead, and God has anointed certain people to, they use the word justice, but it's not the justice of God. There's a different, in my opinion, there's a different kind of justice. They regulate stuff, and they are there by God to oversee things and kind of keep the peace. There you go, to keep the peace. When we judge others, our heart is not in the spirit. It's not in love. Reason being is when we judge others, we are taking the place of God. There's one judgment. That's at the end, which means everything you do in your lifetime is going to be summed up at the end, and you will be judged. We are not to judge others, because then we too will be judged. People say, "Oh, well, why would God allow people to murder? Why would God allow people to do drugs? Why doesn't God stop these people from, running over kids or burning houses? Blah, blah. Why won't God?" Well, hold on. Why does God allow that? Why don't you ask yourself, why has God not judged you already for the stuff you've done wrong? For the people you've done dirty, for the lying you've done, and the stealing you've done, for the hypocrisy, for the adultery, the fornication, the drugs, whatever it may be. Why hasn't God judged you? You should ask yourself, why hasn't God judged you? See, God's showing you mercy like He's showing me mercy. He showed me mercy for 40 months to test my heart. And in the end, it was purified. He still saw that my heart still loved Him, and I was just lost and a mess, and just my eyes were on other people and not Him. And He knows that in a heartbeat, if I were to just, people were to ask me, "Hey, Dave, you believe in God?" "Yeah." "We'll cut your head off." "Hey, off on my head, Holmes, let's go." I may not act like it, but you know what? A lot of people judged me because of the way I was. And that's on them. We are not to judge. Why? Because if God has not judged you yet, remember, God can judge you any minute. He can take you home and take you out. God will throw you in jail. God will do the work. God will allow you to get arrested and do yourself dirty. God will not have other people do it. "Oh, I'm going to call the cops on them." No. God will do a work in you and allow you to get caught in the act of murdering somebody, caught in the act of dealing drugs, caught in the act of driving drunk, like me. Not someone saying, "Hey, well, they're going to rat you." Not someone ratting you out or running to man. No. You run to God, and God will allow you. God will move in you, direct your steps till you get busted and you did yourself dirty. Here's the reason why we're not supposed to judge. In Galatians 6, verses 7 and 8, it says this: "Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, he will also reap. For he who sows to his flesh, will of the flesh reap corruption. But he who sows to the Spirit will of the Spirit reap everlasting life. You see, many times people get ahead of God and they want to go and run to man for help. And that's, well, never mind. I'm judging people. I say, oh, it's weak. Sorry, forgive me. That's not what God intended. Many people who, forgive me, if you continue to act wicked and corrupt, and you have no remorse, no conviction, God will move in your spirit for you to get caught in the act. Okay? God will move in the spirit. Police will show up. Something will happen where you're busted. Like me. I was just about fine coming home, 11:50 some at night. I was hungry, tired, and I got pulled over. Wasn't driving on the wrong side of the road. But the Lord used that cop to pull me over, and that was it. That was the end. Praise God. No one ratted me out. Hey, there's a guy, blah, blah, blah. No. The Lord orchestrated that perfectly. God is not mocked. You see, when we judge others, we are getting ahead of God. And if you judge somebody, if you run to man for something, well, guess what? When you screw up, someone's going to run to man to burn you too. And I'm not saying this like, to get back at people. No, not at all. What I'm saying is when you're walking in the Spirit, you learn to walk in love. You walk in forgiveness. You walk in mercy. You walk in grace. And you extend mercy, love, grace, and forgiveness. You don't judge. Even if they do you dirty. Oh, Lord, what do I do if someone does me dirty? Forgive them 7 times? And Jesus is like, no, 70 times 7. In other words, infinite. You keep forgiving them. You don't go run to man for help. Oh, hell, you run to God. And God's going to go and test that person's heart. Are they being wicked or are they just lost right now? Are they being evil or are they just lonely and don't know how to, they were raised in that environment and that's what they're used to and that's how they act out? I guarantee you, if you love somebody who's going through a lot of ugly stuff, you will walk them out of it in the name of Jesus because you're walking in the Spirit, you're walking in love, you're walking in forgiveness. And this morning as I woke up and I'm dealing with a certain person in my life again who wanted out of my life, I'm trying to walk in forgiveness and love. Because there are things I no longer want to do or be a part of. And I need to not be judgmental and speak in wisdom because death and life are in the power of the tongue. The words that you use are very powerful. They can curse and bless. And when you understand that you are held to a higher accountability, this is why you are not to use the Lord's name in vain because of your words. That's another time. I'll get into that later. But getting back to judgment, do not judge others. If God has not judged them yet, then you have no right to judge them either. Because if you do decide to judge them, then guess what? God's going to judge you next. Whenever you call on God to do something to somebody, God's going to do it. But guess what? He's going to do it to you first. So make sure that when you pray for somebody, that you are praying not with favoritism or spite, but that the words that come out are to help them and not to judge them. We want to exhort people, not excommunicate them or execute them. You don't want to do that. You want to exhort them. You want to build them up. You want to dig past the dirt in their life. Remember, in order to find gold, you got to dig through a lot of dirt. And us as people, we're very dirty. And people will judge you. Oh, that was all this and that. Blah, blah, he's dirty, this and that. And not perverted dirty. I'm talking about just dirt of the world, defiled. We're raised flawed. We're born flawed. Not raised, we're born flawed. Anywho, I can go 25 minutes with this and I'm not. All I'm just saying is that check your heart when you use words to describe others or talk about others. If you're going to talk about others, I encourage you to not judge them or be judgmental, but lift them up in prayer. Hope this makes sense, brothers and sisters. Much love to you all. Have a great Saturday. Thank you for praying for my finances. Continue to pray for wisdom for me as I pray for you. And remember, man, if you're walking in love, you're not going to judge. We are no one to judge. It's the Lord that judges. It's God that judges. We don't seek. Just love, man. Forgive. Walk in mercy. Forgive. Allow the grace of God to flow in and through you and onto others. Rejoice in the Lord. All right. Peace be with you. May the joy of the Lord be your strength. Remember, choose wisdom over the world. God bless.